Hey writers, Ingrid Sundberg here, and this is Ingrid's Notes, where I'm talking about creative writing, craft, and process. And today I want to talk about creative energy and that feeling you have when you actually get into the flow and you know that your story is headed in the right direction. I have about 50 pages of my YA fantasy novel, The Nevers, completed thus far, and I've finally gotten to that place known as the flow, which is where I'm just really excited about where the story is going. My brain has started to just turn on and it is just whirring into overdrive. I'm getting ideas faster than I can type. I'm getting flashes of scenes that could happen in the future and how they connect together, how some idea that just flashes out of my brain is going to be in sequence 7, but it ties back to the one I'm writing right now in sequence 2. Our brain is just making all of these connections, right? It's putting all of the puzzle pieces together. I'm starting to see how a wound from the past is going to connect to the challenge in Act 2. My characters are starting to tell me their secrets. And even better, my protagonist is about to make awful decisions, which always make great stories. My brain is just firing on all cylinders. This is when you know your novel has caught on fire. I talk a lot about loving writing, loving the process, and this is really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this inertia, this sense of possibilities where you have all of these ideas, where that creativity is really just exploding. And this is particularly important when you're writing a first draft, right? You don't need to lock it all down yet. Explore. And the awesome part is this always happens when you really hit on something emotional, something that's going to really be important to your story. It's going to light up when something important shows up on the page. So when I'm drafting, I always keep a journal next to me in which I write down all of these scenes, these flashes, these images and bits of dialogue, and maybe just a piece of a scene. Whatever it is, I write them down in the journal so I can record them. I keep writing the actual scene I'm in. I don't want to lose the momentum and the flow from that, but I also want to keep this energy of where the story could go. So when I'm ready to write the next scene or look into plotting, I know what to do next. So if you're stuck in your manuscript, if you don't know where to go, if you're not feeling this energy, stop. Stop what you're doing right now. Stop trying to force it. Stop worrying so much. Stop trying to hammer that square peg into a round hole. You've lost sight of what matters. What you want to do is look for that energy again. And the best way to do that is to go back through your manuscript, through your scenes, until you find the last scene that had that spark in it, had that emotional heart that was getting you excited about where the story was going. Go back to that scene, forget about everything you just wrote after that scene, and take your story in a completely new direction. I know that sounds scary, right? You probably did all of this work over here. Either you have to find that emotional heart and turn it in a different way to keep going that direction, or that wasn't really what your character wanted to do and where the story was going. Don't be afraid to try taking the story in another direction that has better energy. Or another option is to write your candy bar scenes. Candy bar scenes are the ones you cannot wait to write. You know what they are. You cannot wait to get to them. In fact, they're probably part of the reason you wanted to write this book anyway. Write those scenes now. Stop worrying about putting things in chronological order and follow that energy and excitement and that love. Write that scene you know is going to be a blast to write, because that energy is going to move you and make all of those sparks and get your brain alive again. And that is the energy you want to be following. You know when you're in a flow state because you can feel it. This is really what they mean when we talk about trusting the process. It's something that's in your intuition. It's something in your gut. It's something that you don't really know, but you have to trust. And usually you're either going to feel really excited, or you're going to feel really scared. And scared is a really great place to be, because that's when you're getting really close to the truth. So grab onto that vein of emotion and dig in, dig deep. You know when you are just skating on the surface of something. You know when you're avoiding it or you're protecting your characters, or if you've decided to like move into intellectualized mode where you're like, well, I'm thinking about the words and I'm thinking about what's going to be perfect and blah, 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 right? You're not in that emotional space anymore. And stories are all about emotion. That is why we read them. That is why we watch them, because we want to feel something. So don't be afraid to go into that space. That's the heart. That's where the flow is going to be. So find that emotional live wire and don't let go. Because when you find it, that is when you know your story is headed in the right direction, and it is going to be a wild, wild ride. This is Ingrid's Notes, and if you've been enjoying these videos, please subscribe. And just remember, writing is supposed to be an absolute fucking blast. It's supposed to be fun. So make sure you're really tapping into that creative flow energy and get out there and kick butt in your manuscripts.